some crazy facts about death that I didn't even know. Let's check them out. Number 1, putrescine and cadaverine, I definitely could be saying those two things wrong, but just bear with me here, are the gases that come off a body that make the smell of death. So you know, people ask me all the time, like, I smelled a certain smell coming from my loved one. It could be those gases. Again, probably saying them wrong, but something like putrescine and cadaverine. Let's see what it says here. These are the two gases responsible for the distinctive smell of death. They are produced when bacteria break down from amino acids, from the amino acids orthocyanine, here we go again, guys, and lysine. I am dyslexic, first up, this is a whole nother video, okay? But for me to try to sound out words like this, imagine me in nursing school. Imagine me in nursing school. Anyway, putrescine, cadaverine, that's what's making the smell of death. I did not know that. Number 2 is rigor mortis is temporary. So for those of you who don't know what rigor mortis is, it happens when someone dies. The body gets really stiff, and apparently that doesn't last. So let's read this together. Rigor mortis is a result of certain fibers in the muscle cells becoming linked by chemical bonds, but it usually goes away in a day or two as the bonds break down. How long it lasts depends on the temperature in the environment, among other factors. I did not know that. I bet a lot of morticians, if they're listening, they probably knew that. Number 3, embalming doesn't have to happen. You do not have to be embalmed once you die. And that wasn't always the case. People weren't always embalming people, but Abraham Lincoln was the one to popularize this. Let's see, it says, the embalming of Abraham Lincoln for the journey from Washington, D.C. to Springfield, Illinois is widely credited with encouraging everyday acceptance of the embalming practice. Number 4, this is a really good one. The eyes reveal the first signs of death. Now, I am a hospice nurse. I wouldn't consider this a thing, but once I read it, I was like, yeah, that does make sense. And this is gonna help explain a lot of your questions that you have for me about people's eyes. One of the first visible indicators of death is when the eyes cloud over as fluid and oxygen stop flowing to the corneas. That can happen within 10 minutes after death, or if the eyes are open or if they're closed. This is a good point. So it happens usually after death, but sometimes people will notice that their loved one who is not dead yet, but in that actively dying phase, maybe a few hours before death, they'll see that their eyes change color. Either they get darker, they get lighter, they get cloudy, and this is why. Fluid and oxygen stop flowing to the corneas. It sounds like this can be an indicator that someone has died, maybe not that they're dying. I feel like there's other indicators we can look at, but that's interesting. I did not know that. One of the indicators that I look for in someone dying is any of the actively dying signs. It's mostly someone being unconscious and definitely that changes in breathing. When I see someone having changes in breathing, that tells me they're getting close or in the actively dying phase. And number 5, this is so fascinating to me because my dad always says he wants to do this. So there are over 300 people in the US who are cryonically preserved. That means there are 300 bodies frozen in liquid nitrogen in America in hope that someday science will be able to bring them back to life. So my dad always talks about this. That's what he wants to do. He probably can't afford to do that. I have a feeling it's probably pretty expensive, but he always talks about this. And then it says, contrary to popular belief, Walt Disney is not one of them. What do you guys think? Would you want to do that? I maybe would want to do that. That could be really interesting. I always love those movies where someone like comes back to a new time and place and has to like learn society all over again. You know what I'm talking about? So what do you guys think about this? Did this make you start thinking about weird facts about death and dying? Do you have any questions for me? Anything I can answer for you? Let me know in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more death and dying information.